Prominent political figure and former governor of Anambra State, Peter has recently addressed the alarming increase in petrol prices across the country, expressing deep concern over the impact of the hike in price on the everyday lives of Nigerians, most especially the most vulnerable sectors of the society who are already grappling with economic challenges. Obi actually emphasized that the rising cost of fuel not only exacerbates the burden of transportation and goods, but also contributes to the overall inflationary pressures that are affecting food prices and essential services. He called on the government to implement measures that would cushion the effects of these hikes and ensure that the basic needs of citizens are actually met.
In his remarks, Obi also highlighted the need for a comprehensive review of the Nigerians' energy policies and the importance of investing in alternative energy sources to reduce the country's dependence on petrol. He argued that sustainable solutions are crucial to stabilizing fuel prices and fostering economic growth. Obi's advocacy for transparency and accountability in the oil sector reflects his commitment to ensuring that the wealth generated from Nigerians' natural resources benefit all Nigerians, rather than a select few. His call for action resonates with many Nigerians who feel the pinch of rising costs and are looking for leadership that prioritizes their welfare amidst the ongoing economic challenges.
The show is still Viewpoint, where we discover perspectives and embrace dialogue. I'm Odiawan. With me, I have Light on. Oh wait.
I'm okay. How are you
This
doing?
recent hike in price is something which calls for concern, as Peter Obi has said, don't you think?
Yeah, it's really important we talk about it because it's looking as if the government are not in cognizance of what's going on with the people. There's this thing of the people talking to the government, but the fact that the government seems to not hear their pains is alarming. And to see that a former candidate, a presidential candidate, is talking about this, is coming out to talk about it, makes me feel like that Nigerians will feel heard. They will feel like someone is really looking into their welfare, which is really good for Nigerians.
You've heard it all from Light on. We'll actually be diving into the issue at hand. Join us in the next phase of the show. But before you do that, you subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us across various social media platforms.
So we're talking about the hike, the federal government and all of that. So what implications do you think the recent increase in fuel prices will have on the daily lives of Nigerians? Because if you would ask me, this will have a major impact on their daily lives. What impact do you think it would have?
Well, frankly speaking, the impact is not just enormous, but I'll say it's colossal. It's all-encompassing because once fuel, the prices of fuel, once it's jacked up, it affects everything. It's just like when they said subsidy has also been removed. It affected the prices of food, prices of clothing, transportation, goods, name it, even clothing. You go into the market. Some people practically now, they can't even afford fuel for their personal cars. They feel transportation or the commercial buses or maybe your Ubers or in-drives are cheaper. But by the time you're already calculating the bill for the transport, it becomes exorbitant in the long run. So one way or the other, it has affected so many other things. Even when you get to the schools also, the pupils, they need their exercise books to write. They need their pens to write. And all these things need to be produced. And the goods or the items for the manufacturing process, the cost also needs to be taken into cognizance in procuring them. Now, the school needs to purchase all those things from the manufacturers to get to the school. And by the time the parents get to the school fees has increased. Why? Because they need to get books. All those kind of things, you need to factor them in. Now, when you talk about even feeding, likewise, the cost of your tomato now has gone on the high side, your onions. By the time you're transporting these items now be it from the north or the east, name it, wherever you're transporting them from, you need to take into cognizance, how do you fuel the vehicle? Is it your PMS, your premium motor spirit? Is it your diesel? All these things have affected everyday life. Some people now resort to even cycling, but some people don't have the strength to cycle a distance. Some people don't even have the strength to trek. So it now has to even cut short or even affect negatively or impact negatively on even the working class. Why? Because they have to cover a particular distance. You can't compare the mechanism of the feet to that of a machine. A machine will be faster, but that machine needs to be fueled up. That's where this hike in fuel now comes in. And people are even yearning, for instance, now you're done eating. And when you're done eating, you have to struggle to get into a vehicle. You can't even get a vehicle at all. You're burning that energy which you finish feeding with on trekking. By the time you get to work, you're exhausted. You need to feed again. So by the time you say you're eating breakfast and lunch, even before lunch, before you say jack. So it has adversely affected everything in different or diverse way, if I may put it that way. So now over to you. How might Peter Obi's criticism now actually on fuel issue or the fuel hike resonate with the concerns of ordinary citizens in Nigeria?
Okay, so Peter Obi's criticism strikes a chord with Nigerians because Nigerians are in pain. And, you know, like he said that it is unfortunate and insensitive. The situation of things right now is unfortunate and insensitive. And that is exactly how Nigerians are feeling right now. They're in pain. Now, when it comes to fuel prices in Nigeria, it doesn't only affect the people moving from one place to another. It affects everything in Nigeria because we rely solely on fuel. So, okay, like you said now, they're bringing in stuff from Kano or Kaduna. Now, if I want to sell it if I bought the product for 2,000 naira, and then I have to bring it in from Kano to this place, and then the transportation from Kano down to this place is costing me about 100,000 naira. You don't expect me to sell the same thing for 2,000 naira again. So it will be going for, say, 5,000 naira so that I can earn my own profit. Now, it is not only affecting product, it is also affecting services, because I want to be home away from home. I'm going to an hotel. I would have to pay for the services. Now, the services I'm supposed to pay, say, 5,000 naira for, 10,000 naira for, I have to pay more now, which is really affecting the people. Now, to see someone that is saying what the government is doing is wrong, it makes a whole lot of sense. It makes the people feel like they're being heard. So he's talking from the perspective of the people, not from the government. Is someone in power. He is someone that has everything he needs to take care of himself and his family. We can't. He was the former governor of Anambra State, and we know what he did in Anambra State. And he's talking now that the government should look into the matter, which means he's also trying to balance the government while talking from the perspective of the people, because the people are suffering. The situation we're in now is what we call unfortunate, if you would ask me, because everything in Nigeria is deteriorating day in, day out. And we need the government to do more. So moving on, in what ways do you believe the government's policy choices have contributed to the current economic condition in Nigeria?
Well, the policies which the government has actually initiated has to do with or border on the kind of advisors they have in the cabinet. So what kind of advisors does this current administration have? These are things we should look at. What kind of solutions have they preferred? Are they actually working? So far, so good. People have actually been complaining. It's like having a baby in the house and the baby keeps crying. You need to find out why the baby is crying. It could be that maybe the baby has soiled himself or herself, or maybe the baby is actually sick, or maybe probably the baby is crying.
Hungry.
So these are problems in which the baby has already let you know. So you need to profile solutions to find out how you can address the situation. If you dish out policies and you see that this policy isn't working, you withdraw and re-strategize. But it has so been imposed on the people, not even suggested to the people, whereby, as you said, the people have actually been crying out and Peter Obi is hearing. But the current government who is to address the situation, I want to believe maybe they have headphones on their ears. They are not even listening. They are listening to a different tune.
Yeah.
So they feel apparently they feel comfortable. I was talking to a particular lady and she was like, the Nigerians can go and beg for food, or if they see free food anywhere. Those are insensitive comments, statements, or remarks people will make. Why? Because they are not heeding to the plight of Nigerians. Because by the time you look at this hike in fuel price, it's not just about increasing the price of fuel alone. Yeah. Probably, I think maybe in government establishments, cost also needs to be cut down. Some months back, there was a case of people, the government officials purchasing billions of naira for procuring jeeps, which is quite insensitive. If these things can actually be funneled towards addressing issues of the fuel issue, why? Because refineries need to be fixed. I think Nigerians in the long run will be able to not cry again like little babies. Most importantly, I think the government should remove the headphones on their ears or the earpods they have in their ears so that they can actually discern what Nigerians are actually crying out for, because one voice cannot make only the difference. Peter Obi is not the only person vouching for Nigerians. Yeah. We also have Atiku Abubakar, the PDP candidate, who is actually also vouching for Nigerians. But a situation whereby only these two are actually clamoring for the needs of Nigerians, it will also be interpreted as because they lost the elections, they are already attacking the APC administration. But either ways, I think the current administration should actually remove the headphones they have on their ears and listen to the plight of Nigerians.
All right.
So now, Lighto, after all said, now how could the federal government demonstrate compassion towards Nigerians facing the economic hardship due to the fuel prices, which has actually increased?
All right. You know, you said the other time you were talking about policies, the question I asked you. Now, one thing that I know is policies are made for the living, not for the dead. So when we make policies, we're making policies for people that are still breathing. Now, when the government made policies about, let's talk about the removal of the subsidy. Now, when they removed the subsidy, we know that there is nothing we're doing in Nigeria that petroleum does not affect. So yes. Now they're removing subsidy without having proper policies in place. I am not saying the government is not trying to do something good for the people, but then when you are trying to create policies that would help people in the future, forgetting their welfareism, these people would die before the policy takes place. So why make policies that at the long run, the people would die? Now, a lot of people are in school now. We have graduates. Graduates are getting out of school without the hope of job. There was a time during my podcast that we were talking, and my co-host said that school is scam. And you know, I had to tell them, to me, school is not scam. If we have a proper government in Nigeria, whereof students are graduating, and before you graduate, there is a job waiting for you. You know that I'm studying so hard in order to graduate from school and get better job, because the government is creating job for us. People would want to study. People would want to go to school at any cost. People will be in school and study hard. But because the government are not doing what is right, probably they're doing what is right, but they are doing it at the wrong time. Now, when you're creating policies, be sure to have a plan B. When you're not creating policies for you, you're creating for the people in the lower cadre. So it means these people do not have the luxury that you have. It means you have to look into their welfare. You have to look into what these people want. Like you said, I think they need to remove their headphones and listen to what the people are saying. People are hungry. Now, if you're making policies of removing subsidy, you know that no matter the amount they're selling petroleum, you can afford it as a person because you're in government. You have the money. Nigerians are not clamoring for you not to embezzle money. They don't even care. What Nigerians want is, I want to be comfortable. I want to be able to go to the market, get stuff for myself, and eat comfortably. So when you're not doing that, then you're not making policies for me. You're making policies for yourself. So if the government would want to do anything good for the people, I think the first thing they should start with is direct aid for the people that are in the lower cadre. Some people are living below the standard of living. We have some people that are still coping, but some people are living lower than that. The government should provide direct aid for them. And another thing is creating job opportunities. Like I say, youth are graduating, and then we have a lot of crime going on in the society, and the government are not thinking of a way to curb that because of their selfish interest, if I would say that. So now I feel creating job opportunities, public infrastructures, all of this will help. This is the way the government can show the people that we love you. All what we are doing is for you. And when they are creating policies, they should also understand that this policy is not for us because we're okay. We live in luxury. This policy is for the people who cannot even afford. Look at our minimum wage. You're paying people that are working out. They're going to work from morning till evening. You're paying them 30,000 naira. Thank God that they reviewed it. But even the 70,000 naira, looking at the situation of things in the country now, you will go to the market with 70,000 naira, and what you will bring from that market, you'll be so surprised. Like, so I really took 70,000 naira to the market to get this. So I think the government should not only look at themselves, but look at the people. If you're going into power, know that you're going to serve people, not that we are serving you. It seems Nigerians are serving the government and they are hungry. So it's more like a slavery thing in Nigeria presently. So Nigerians are really suffering, like seriously. But then, with what I just said, what alternative measures could the government consider to mitigate the impact of rising fuel prices on the population? Because we know that this is not for the good of the people. So in order to make things better for the people now, what do you think the government can do?
Well, first of all, I think we should look at it. Over dependence on oil now is the main issue.
Yeah.
We have other resources which we can be dependent on. Secondly, I made mention of cutting costs in governance. If they
Yeah.
can funnel their resources upon cutting costs to other things, channeling it to other things, I think it will be creating an enabling climate for both the government and even the Nigerians, whereby the Nigerians don't behave like nagging wives or maybe crying
Okay.
babies in the process. Secondly, we keep talking about refineries or rehabilitating or refurbishing refineries, total overhaul of the refineries, but we cannot compare refineries of 1956 to probably maybe, let me say, 2056.
Yeah.
Maybe we might be in the Elon Musk era by then. So if we look at it now, the kind of equipment you will need for treatment facilities will be totally different from the ones which were actually put in place for the likes of Oloibiri in 1956. Those ones would have been rusty. You say you want to revive them, it's going to take a longer process. Why not procure fresh items, just like the $20 billion treatment facility by Dangote, the refinery? So if you can set up these refineries, replacing them with the old tools which were there, then make sure that, okay, your fuel which is coming out, the cost of production, everything is totally drastically dropped. Dependence on other natural resources like our gold, our gold columbites, just to mention a few. There are other resources we can be dependent on. I was talking with a friend last week, and he told me that coconut is being sold now for so amount. And if you can forward it to war-torn Ukraine now, I think that's enough revenue for the country. So if we can not be solely dependent on even fuel alone, these days we have solar, we have the CNG, we have the electric vehicles. These things are quite expensive. So everything still boils down to drastically cutting costs. So if we can cut costs on certain things, particularly starting or beginning with the government, I like what the likes of this Jonta region country actually did. He didn't go for a G-Wagon. He went for a 1982 Land Cruiser. That is what he actually uses in one of the Sahel states now. So he's even letting the people know that if I can ride on a bicycle also, who are you not to ride on a bicycle? So he has brought himself down to make sure that government is equal even with the people. Why? Because it's actually serving the people. But here we have this supremacy orientation. Why? Because we need to even be on top of our game. Why? Because we overrate this, all fingers are not equal. So the orientation now has also been sewn into or interwoven into the fabric of even cost of production, fuel prices, and everything, whereby we begin to indirectly extort the people. So moving on, I would like to also ask now, how does the fuel prices in Nigeria reflect on broader economic issues?
All right. So with this issue of a little bit of adjustments when it comes to fuel and it's affecting the economy generally, it's already obvious that we're over reliant on petroleum. While I was growing up, there was the thing of Nigerian, producing petroleum themselves, but now we seem to be importing most of it. And that, in a way, is not good for us in the country because majority of what we use in the country are imported. Now, we have mismanagement of resources and inflation too. The government have the resources, but they're not managing it well. Now, in this situation of, I talked about the removal of subsidy the other time. If the government are removing the subsidy and they're using this money that are removing to construct industries, companies, organizations whereof people can go there to work and pay taxes, which means revenue will be going back to the government. Either ways, whatever the government does for the people, it will still generate revenue back to them. But the funny thing is, the government are forgetting that before you expect ROI, you have to invest. If you don't invest, you don't expect to get money. So the government are not, they are not planning to invest, but then they want ROI. You're not investing into the country, but then you want to get return from the same country. And the funny thing is, the fact that you want this ROI by force, by fire, if I would say, is making the standard of living to deteriorate, to depreciate every day. And our economy is really, really depreciating day in, day out. The exchange rate is said to be affecting our country, but then we have things we can also export, but we're not doing that. Buhari said it during his tenure that Nigerians youth are lazy and that we should go back to farming. But these people that are going back to farming, what are the things that are put in place? in order to help them. If the youth are going back into farming, it could be a contract with these people and the government. Now, we're going to provide you with things you would use. But one thing is, at the end of the month, this is what the government wants from you. In that way, too, we're also generating money back into the government. If they create industries, if they build organizations for the youth that are going to be working, whatever amount, there's no organization that works without expecting ROI. They expect money to come. Now, when this money is coming, since it is government owned, it is for the government. And then the tax these people will still pay that you will take from their salary, it is still for the government. So why not do things for the people? Let them be comfortable. So I feel like the government needs to look into the mismanagement of their resources. They should know their priority. It is not all about embezzling money. It is about investing into stuff that will bring in ROI for you. Now, another thing is, what responsibility do you think the Minister of Petroleum Resources ought in addressing the concerns raised by Peter Obi?
Well, first of all, we need to look at who is actually the Minister of Petroleum Resources. We know it's the president. The president called the shots. And if he's calling the shots, we need to even know why he hasn't done the needful. I mentioned earlier on when we began advisors. What kind of advisors does he have around him? That's another thing. Is there a cabal that is hindering some executions which ought to have been executed? These are things we need to take, because you don't just jack up the price of fuel from 300 and something, 400 and something, 500 and something. As we speak now, it's 1,000 and something. And you cannot even, 7 liters is not enough to even fuel your car or even your generators. These are things we need to look. There's need for the Minister of Petroleum Resources, who in person, filling in that position, is Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to actually come in and communicate understanding to people why this thing is always on the increase, whether daily, weekly, or monthly. And why is it being increased? What proceeds are being gotten from there? There's need to give explanation to Nigerians. And upon giving explanation to Nigerians with these proceeds, which have been accrued from increasing the price of fuel, there's need to also let Nigerians know what are these funds actually being used for. Because if you say you are increasing the price of fuel, why? Because it is needed to address a particular need. Fuel is not the only means where we can generate income from, just as you said. There are other resources, there are other avenues where one can generate income. So the responsibility now, the Minister of Petroleum now should actually have, and frankly speaking, I don't know why each administration that comes in holds that position and doesn't give it to other ministers, just as you have Minister of Foreign Affairs or Minister of Interiors. But the president is always holding that particular office right from the days of Goodluck Jonathan, Buhari, now even as we speak, now incumbent president. Why? Because I think maybe it's a sensitive position, a sensitive ministerial role. But so far, so good. Whoever has been handling that role, because of advisors, has been insensitive in approaching that ministerial role. That's just all I have to say.
Like, I would also like to add to that, because during Yaradua's time, we know the price we get petroleum, and now we're buying petroleum for thousands of naira. Now, if NNPC are selling for 1,030 naira, how much more the other petrol station? It means they will be selling more, because not everybody can go queue in front of NNPC to buy food. So most people make use of other petrol station. Now, if NNPC is selling for 1,030 naira, I can only imagine how much other stations are going to be selling, because look at the situation of things. As a last month or upper last month, going to the market, you get something for this price, and then this month is another price. Now, this is before the increase of this petroleum. Now, it means that by next month, it would even be more. So the cost of living right now in Nigeria is killing the living. So who are we doing all of this for?
How important is it for political leaders like Peter Obi to speak out on issues like fuel prices, and what impact do you think such statements may have in public perception?
Okay, thank you for that question, because I remember when I started talking, I talked about the fact that Nigerians want to feel heard. They want to know that someone understands what they're going through. And with this from Peter Obi, I feel it's a very good thing. We want more people. Like you said, Atiku is also involved in stuff like this, but then two people cannot solve this problem. So we need more people that are in that position, that can check and balance the people in government, that can tell the people in government that, okay, the funds that you have, the luxury that you have, we also have it. But then we also understand that the people do not have this luxury. So why don't we do something good for them? People like this, we need more of them. We need more people to come out and check and balance the government. Let's hold them accountable. When the people, the ordinary people, ordinary Nigerians are coming out to say, this is what we want the government to do, like you said, they're with their headphones, so they don't care. But when people in power also comes out to say that the government should do this for the people, I feel it would make the people in government, hopefully, feel and realize that, okay, there is more to be done. If someone that is living in luxury like I am living, if someone that is living in wealth like I am living is saying that I am not doing something right, then it seems there's something wrong somewhere and we need to look into it. So kudos to Peter Obi for all he's been doing. There was this news that I read about him giving a church $15,000 in order to, help them and sort some things out, which is really good. If we have more people doing this, it would help the country, will help the people. So I would really say a big thank you to Peter Obi for talking about this and also talking from the people's perspective, because the people need someone in power to speak for them. And also this would only open people's eye to see that it is not all about tribalism. It's about the person that have your welfare at heart. It's about the person that really wants you to do better. It's about the person. When we look at the manifestos during the election, we can see that Peter Obi is ready to embrace innovations. He's ready to embrace technology. And that is where we're going now. The world is evolving every day. And, all these normal manifestos of, I will provide you with food is not going to last us for a long time, because they're promising us that they're going to provide us with food. But then we're still hungry. They're weaponizing the hunger because they know that that is the only thing they can use. It's more like a leash. You said you want to serve the people, but then you're holding them on a leash. So if you want to serve them, you don't hold. It's not possible for a slave to hold his master on a leash. It's the master that does that. So in short, you people are not serving us. We're serving you, and you're weaponizing hunger. So people like Peter Obi, who are not hungry, who can afford anything. Peter Obi can decide tomorrow that he's moving out of the country, but an ordinary Nigeria cannot decide tomorrow to move out of the country. So because people like that have the money, that have the power, are talking, it's going to make things better for the people in the country. Now, so in your opinion, what are the potential long-term effects of the government's current approach to fuel pricing on Nigerians' economy?
Well, long-term effects, when we look at it, you made mention of food, using it as an analysis.
Yeah.
When someone is hungry, it's just a matter of time that fellow becomes angry because he or she has not eaten.
Yeah.
Nigerians are in a state whereby, as you said, hunger is being weaponized. They don't want to give them the key because they know once they are given the key, that key there stands for innovation and development or advancement. Once they are granted that key, they know that they are going to unlock the cage, and then they will all be exposed to all sorts of knowledgeable things which will make them be aware and be abreast of whatever they need to know. Nigerians now, as we speak now, in my own opinion, I will frankly say the long-term effect will just be one thing, which is anarchy. Where there's a state of lawlessness, people begin to go ahead to do whatever they need to do. Why? Because they need to get what they need to eat. They need to get what they need to survive, whether it's clothing or one necessary. We watch this film they call Mad Max. Yeah. Now, when they have nothing available, that's where a system of lawlessness sets in, is the survival of the fittest. We hope it doesn't get to that extent. Definitely, Nigeria is a system whereby we're able to adapt to situations and we respect ourselves. Why? Because even despite the difficulties or the challenges, we know how to embrace ourselves and help one another. The only thing I have to say is a state of the long-term effect, which is actually going to tell Nigerians it's anarchy. Why? Because the governments are not listening to the people. If you begin to listen to the people and retrieve or retrace your steps concerning the policies which you've dished out there, which are giving adverse effects negatively on the people, definitely there won't be any long-term effect. But when you're not, there won't be any long-term effect on a negative note, rather, I beg your pardon. But by the time you redress these steps and you begin to dish out policies which will cushion the effect, not just giving us palliatives, and then you come out giving cartons of noodles. When you give me noodles and it goes through the digestive process, where's the next noodles? Where's the next noodles? But we need a cycle or a process or instruments in place that will actually be beneficial for people who are going to come outside. And when they come outside, they know that, yes, they are sustainable and efficient to rub shoulders with their competitors, not just locally, but globally. So addressing this fuel hike issue is going to be a continuous thing until it's dealt with nip deep in the butt. Nothing more.
All right. And I would like to tell the government to, just like Obafemi Awolowo said, that the children of the poor that you fail to train will not let your children have peace of mind. So it is better, and I would appeal to the government to look into the welfareism of the people and take care of them.
I buy that. The show has been Viewpoint, where we discover perspectives and embrace dialogue. I'm Odiawa. With me has been
Ola Itowawa today.
Thanks for watching.